the field, and he's pulling away down the back straightaway. Tanner Holmes will put his name on the Red Bluff Motorsports Perpetual Trophy. He almost tossed it out the window.
Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. Welcome back to today's YouTube video here on the channel. We have a super exciting piece of content to share with you. Now, if you guys have been following along with some of my recent content posted to the channel, you saw that we won the 6-foot Perpetual Trophy at the Red Bluff Outlaws on Saturday. And I got a couple comments, it wasn't 6 feet, it's about 5.5, but we're gonna call it 6 feet because that sounds a lot cooler. But that is really besides the point. The main thing that came out of that victory Saturday night was that was my 40th career A-main event win at the Red Bluff Outlaws. And with that victory, that put me tied at the top of the Red Bluff Outlaw all-time wins list between every single division. The other driver who had previously set that bar was Keith Bloom Jr. with 40 wins, one of the greatest to ever step behind the wheel of an outlaw kart. So I wanted to make this whole video to kind of go through all of my years at Red Bluff, starting with my first win in 2010. And before we get into it, I talk about it a lot at the end of this video, but how humbling this was. Just to have a chance to be on this list, have the opportunity to race at Red Bluff. As a local outlaw kart kid growing up in Southern Oregon, it was just awesome that my parents took me down there every single weekend to race, and kind of now what it's turned into and the opportunities that it presented. So this is just a super fun video. We get a great chance to look down my memory lane at the Red Bluff Outlaws and look where it all started in 2010 and see all the progress in between. So let's just jump right into that. So as we dive into my history at the Red Bluff Outlaws, I should probably talk about how it all got started and how we heard about the place. And with that, I gotta give all the credit to my dad. He was the one who heard about the Red Bluff Outlaws and made the decision for us to go and start racing down there. Now, he is at work right now, but I figured we could give him a call for this video and get some of his thoughts on how we heard about the Red Bluff Outlaws and our first attempts at heading down there.
Hello?
Hey Dad, okay, so I got you here on the vlog to talk a little bit about the Red Bluff Outlaws. Can you first just mention, how did we hear about Red Bluff? Because you were the one that made the decision for us to first go down there.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got our start racing in Medford and racing in Roseburg and Cottage Grove and Salem, and we raced those places, and we thought we were pretty good, and we won some championships there when we got started, and I don't know, people talked about Red Bluff being the center of racing for go-karts in the wintertime, and Cycle Land being summertime go-karts, so we decided to go down there and give it a shot. When we went down there with big heads thinking that, this was going to be easy, and it was the toughest place that we ever raced. It was hard to be in the top 20 cars down there at any given night when we first started. But we made friends with people, and those people that we made friends with helped us, and we got good.
Yeah, it just took a lot of time. Thank you. Yeah, that helps a ton with explaining how we got started. That was perfect what he said there. We got started racing in 2009. We ran a lot locally up here in Southern Oregon and then went a little bit north to like Salem and Cottage Grove. And we won races at those other racetracks. And I wouldn't say we were necessarily super dominant, but we were definitely one of the fastest cars to show up in like the beginner box stock class. And my dad heard about Red Bluff. We went down there thinking, we're gonna go down here and just spank every single one of these Northern California outlaw kart kids. And that was not the case at all. My first attempt at the Red Bluff Outlaws in 2010, right before the West Coast Nationals, I think we left after the D main event, and that was not the case at all. My first attempt at the Red Bluff Outlaws was at the beginning of 2010, and I don't think I made it out of the C main event. We went back there the next week for the West Coast Nationals, which was an even bigger event than the points race, and I don't think I made it out of the C or B main event there again. Once we realized the competition levels that we were up against, and humbled in a way at a young age, we knew this was gonna be the place to be, to grow as an outlaw kart driver, race against the best competitors, and more importantly, getting all that valuable seat time during the winter when a lot of other drivers were not racing. So now here's the exciting part of the video. I have my laptop here in front of me, and I kinda wanna go through some of the milestones wins of my career at the Red Bluff Outlaws, starting with number 1 all the way up to number 40. Last night, I went back and looked through a ton of pictures, and man, it was like memory lane, and that's really what this video is gonna be like. From our first win back in 2010, starting in the beginner box stock division, like my dad said, going down there, we were able to pick up a win in my first full season. So starting off with my first career win at the Red Bluff Outlaws, I believe it came on October 31st, 2010. And here is the photo from victory lane, you could say, where we were pitted. Out in the back 40, it's still the same pit spot we have today. We really like it. It's right on the corner. It fits well with our rig. I honestly do not remember too much about the race besides being out front and being able to pick up that victory. And that is where this all truly started. You can see my suit. I wore wrestling shoes at the time as well. I didn't even have real race shoes. I had Tanner like a lot of the young kids do. They have their name on there. You can see another spare tire, my helmet, steering wheel, and my first ever paint scheme. So we're gonna need to do a throwback to that car eventually, but this was win number 1. And like I said, I believe the date was October 31st, 2010. So we won our first race, I believe the second points race of the season. And then actually we were able to also win the third points race of that season. So back-to-back wins. And then here's another picture to put up on the screen of just to get a look at how young I was. I always wore my Monster Energy hat. I had one of my TC Racing shirts that I'd cut the sleeves off, but that's what my car looked like. That's what we were competing in. And in the beginner box stock in total, between 2 years of racing, we won 5 A main events. After that, we moved up to the box stock class, and unfortunately, I did not have as many pictures as I wanted to share with you guys from these years in racing. But my first year in the box stock class at Red Bluff, I had a copycat of the double Mick Camry scheme from Kyle Busch. And what I specifically remember from these years, starting in 2013 when I moved up, I was actually really quick out of the gate. The first night out, I ran second. I believe the night after that, I was second or third. And then the third night of the season, I actually picked up my first box stock win. So that was my 6th career win at the Red Bluff Outlaws. And then we had a couple more good runs. I think we maybe put it in victory lane once or twice. And then my first big box stock win actually came on Perpetual Trophy night there in 2014. I believe this would have been in January or February, but here's a picture of my dad and myself. I'm a little bit taller from the previous photos. Just looking at this photo, you can tell 2 big, genuine, happy smiles from my dad and myself. And I believe this was win number 9 for me at Red Bluff. After that, I just have a couple more pictures to run through to give you an idea of our box stock years. Fortunate enough, we're able to win the championship this season. And one of the main photos that we took was actually down at one of our big sponsors who still support us today, Durango RV Resort. You have the Hard Charger Award, the Rookie of the Year Award, the Championship Trophy, and the Perpetual Trophy. And then going through our next year at Red Bluff, we won some races, but never any of the real big shows until the final race of my box stock career, and that was the West Coast Nationals. And to this date, this is still the only West Coast Nationals I've ever won, but it's so cool to have the Eagle, and it's actually still sitting right back here in my room. It really doesn't get much better than an Eagle. So 5 beginner box stock wins, and then in box stock between the 2 years of competition, we won 11 A main events. So now we move into my rookie campaign in the 250 class. In my first year in 250, we were able to pick up 5 A main event wins. The first one was actually on opening night of the season, and this was a photo captured by Russell and Nicole Moore. I was doing my donuts in the infield after the victory, and I had just a little wheel stand. And during my rookie year, we had 2 different paint schemes, the green car and the black car, so we kind of bounced back and forth between the 2. So that was the 2014-2015 season. Then we move into the 2015-2016 season where we won 3 A main events in my second year in 250s. One thing I remember specifically about this year, we started off on the right foot winning the Tyler Wolf Memorial, and we were super fast the first half. The first 6 races, we actually won 3 of them. And then after that, I don't know, the driver lost it. I just could not run good. I either wrecked out of the feature, ran in the back, or had something go wrong. It was the craziest period of races at the Red Bluff Outlaws I've ever had where things literally did not go my way at all. But I think that was something that prepared me for my final year in 250s and helped me grow as a driver and mature as a driver and learn to be smart. Because I had probably my most successful season ever at the Red Bluff Outlaws. During 2016-2017 season, we won 8 races, and we also won the championship. This was the stretch of races where we won 5 in a row, and I've shared that a couple times here on the channel. I don't know what was different this year, but I don't know if I just came out with a little bit of confidence. And I think a lot of the credit goes to my dad and Rick Rapp for giving me such a great car every single night. It just seemed like no matter where we started, no matter the track conditions, we had the speed to get to the front and be able to pull away from the rest of the competition. So that 2016-2017 season, we won 8 races and jumped our win total from 24 to 31. So through the beginner box division, we gained 5 A main event wins. Through the box stock class, we gained 11 A main event victories. That puts us at 16. Then our first year in 250s, we gained 5. Our second year, we gained 3. And then our last year, we gained 8, which adds up to another total of 16, which puts us at 32. And then at this point in my outlaw kart career, this is kind of where things changed a little bit. I went from racing, you know, against kids more my age through the beginner box stock 250 classes to now I was in the big show. I was in the big boy class. I was in the open division, and it is so hard to come by a win in this class, especially as a rookie. And I was driving for my dad at the time, and we had a ton of issues with our engine. For some reason, we just could not keep it running, and I'm gonna tell that story eventually, probably on the podcast, because it truly is a good one, but we just couldn't figure it out. We were blowing up engines left and right. We didn't even have a chance at winning any races because we couldn't even finish them. So I believe it was right after the halfway point in that season, I actually transitioned from driving a car owned by my dad, which was a QRC CR500 car, to driving actually the QRC house cart. And I'm gonna be telling that whole story soon, how that went down on the podcast here eventually. I'm just saving it for one specific episode. But anyway, Jimmy Elledge gave me a great opportunity to drive the car that he owned. And I'm not gonna lie, the first couple of races were rough. We just didn't really have a lot of luck on our side and we're struggling to find the speed we wanted. But my third night out in the factory QRC car, something clicked and we were able to actually lead majority of the A-main event laps for my first career open win. So this tallied up to win number 33 on my career and my first with factory QRC, and that partnership is still ongoing today. And after that first initial win with factory QRC in March of 2018 to the current date where we are now, we secured 7 more victories. A lot of those were just normal points races. One of them that does stick out in particular was the 2018 Tyler Wolf Memorial. So after having those first 32 initial victories with my dad, I was able to gain those 8 with factory QRC and Jimmy Elledge. And that puts us where we're at now at the top of the all-times win list, tied with Keith Bloom Jr. at 40. And like I said a little bit earlier in the video, this is just super humbling for myself. Just to be on a list with literally some of the biggest legends in outlaw karts is absolutely insane. You know, you look back for myself, it all started in 2010 and just working my way up through the ranks. But another thing that's crazy to think about is that the mark is 40 because this place has been going on since the 1980s. Like, that just shows how tough the competition is, even how tough it was back then compared to now. And I guess you could say this is some of the first levels for so much young talent, which is gonna go into the racing world in the future years and probably dominate. So like I said, just super humbling to be a part of it and be able to hit the mark of 40. And there is no way I would not have been able to do that without my family, obviously racing for them for those first 32 wins, and then Jimmy Elledge at factory QRC. I mean, he brings absolute top tier equipment every single week to the track. He's a phenomenal mechanic and wrench working on the car, and I'm just so thankful for our relationship and the chemistry that we have as driver and crew chief or car owner. And I can't wait to continue racing with them to finish off this season and the years looking forward. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hopefully you kind of enjoyed my little analysis of through the years from 2010 to 2021 and looking how we went from win number 1 to win number 40, and just really continue to add to the history of the Red Bluff Outlaws, as there's already so much history there, and it's just so cool to be just, I guess, a small little page of that. So I will see you guys all in the next one. Like I said, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you tomorrow with a podcast. We'll have a new podcast. We have a couple more videos coming out, and then we're back to the Red Bluff Outlaws for points race number 9 here in 2021. See you guys all then. Deuces.